started, and then she'll come back on and she'll get us started. Okay.
Great. Let's go.
All right. I'm
Okay.
turning my camera off. Michelle, as soon as you say let him in, I'm letting him in.
Let me clarify. You're going to let him in. How long? Maybe 1 more minute and I go to the welcome, or we just go right there? We're ready to go. Let him in. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our Community Center public meeting. My name is Michelle Gora, and I am the Economic and Community Development Director here for Washington. And we're going to get started in just a few moments. We have people continuing to come into the waiting room. Sorry about the passcode. That was new to us. So congratulations to everyone who figured out how to get that on and to join the meeting. We'll be starting in just another minute or two. We still have people logging into the waiting room.
It's just 4 of us that figured out the password.
No, we currently have 57 participants
Oh,
and
sorry.
a few more in the waiting room. So they're
Okay.
continuing to log in. While we're waiting, we'll just go over a few items. Everyone should stay on mute. You come in muted and you should stay muted. We're going to have a presentation given by our selectmen. And if you have questions, we'd ask that you put them in the chat. You can find the chat function down along the bottom. Just type your question in. We're going to take all the questions at the end. If you prefer to ask your question out loud, if we have time after the chat questions, we'll go ahead and answer those. And if you're calling in this evening, we will ask for those questions at the end after the chat questions have been answered. Looks like most people have gotten in. So I just want to welcome everyone again to our Community Center public meeting. We are going to hear a presentation from our selectman. Jim Britton, our first selectman, will be letting us know where we are in this process so far. Jay Hubblebank, one of our selectmen, will let us know what the next steps are. And Dean Sargent, our other selectman, will be handling the question and answer session. I do want to let everyone know that the meeting will be recorded. So just keep that in mind and will be available. Again, make sure, please, everyone, you stay on mute and put your questions into the chat box, and we will answer those questions at the end. Looks like it is 7:06. I think we're probably close to being ready to get started. Are you ready, Jim?
All set. Thanks, Michelle. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public forum of our proposed community center. My name is Jim Britton, and I serve as first selectman in the town of Washington. When we think about the community center, we think about where we've been over the past year. If ever there was a time to explore the importance of community, it's now. If you think about the things we can offer at a community center, think about Zumba classes with Mary Weber, CPR class taught by Adam Woodruff and Heidi Johnson, a pet rescue opportunity by Dr. Mike from Aspetuck, and a gardening class with Denise Arturi. From pickling seminars to pickleball tournaments, from a slideshow of someone's vacation, those of us old enough remember how much fun that was, to an indoor movie night when the weather isn't cooperating at the Judy Black Park. When we can gather again as more than a virtual community, this will be a part of revitalizing and renewing that public spirit that has truly never left us. A place to learn, to play, to teach, and to gather. We all remember what it's like to gather. With that, we'll begin in the great tradition of Washington's community spirit. Almost a year ago to the day, we conducted a public informational meeting to hear residents' thoughts and concerns on the creation of a new senior center. That meeting was attended by more than 100 residents, and we were able to gather an incredible amount of input and information. Two things in particular stood out. We were tasked with narrowing down the location from 3 potential sites to one site that would fit closest to the vision that people had for the new center. The second was an overwhelming desire to see a center that would be intergenerational, a center that would serve all the needs of our seniors, but also the community as a whole. For a variety of reasons, the Old Town Garage site was chosen to pursue. We already own this property, the lot size allowed for greater flexibility, and the location is ideal relative to the proximity of the depot. This slide shows the existing site plan as it currently is. You'll notice the various setbacks from wetlands, the Chappaqua River, front, side, and rear setbacks, and the current utilities, as well as portions of the neighboring properties. Here we have an overlay of the conceptual site plan. It shows the proposed building. You'll notice the location of the terrace. This placement was designed to take advantage of the best view shed possible of the river and its surroundings. The parking areas, it's important to note that we set the priority of maintaining parking, not only for the community center, but also increased municipal parking for all of the depot merchants. There is a multi-purpose lawn that also houses the septic. You'll also notice areas labeled compensatory storage. In order to keep the center out of the floodplain, we needed to elevate it. Any excavation requires that there be a zero net gain in soil. We wanted to create not only a pleasing exterior aesthetic, but also a functioning one. The terrace, the walking paths, the compensatory meadows are all examples of this. This slide shows our goals relative to utilizing the space within the center. Health and fitness area, spaces for multi-generational activities, arts and crafts, cooking classes, and of course, pickleball. Here we see the simple block symbols representing the square footage and basic layout without the aesthetics. The office area not only provides workspace for staff, but also privacy for staff assisting residents. Food service area has the kitchen, pantry, and dry storage. One of our goals is to have cooking classes that would most certainly be multi-generational. The wellness component features showers, an exercise room, and nurses' stations for health clinics, blood pressure screenings, and the like. Here we see a more detailed rendering of the dining and meeting room. As one of the largest rooms in the center, we anticipate a great amount of use. This room was designed to make simple and rapid changes of use. It provides storage needs for tables and chairs, easy access to the kitchen and multimedia equipment for presentations. It will also serve as the greatly anticipated pickleball court. Our goal with the atrium area was to have ample lighting, a welcoming feeling, and to set the tone for the rest of the center. There will be a greeting and reception area as well as a coffee bar for visitors. The intergenerational room is just that, a room we envision will be utilized by our seniors as well as our younger people. Programming would be designed to foster this goal. This room would be utilized before and after school for programming. The goal of the multi-purpose room is to have an area that can do arts and crafts as well as meetings, workshops, and bridge tournaments. It would have a wall-mounted sink, tables, and plenty of counter and storage space. The exercise room will consist of cardio and other workout equipment, access to the showers, as well as locker and changing rooms. Personally, I feel the kitchen will get some of the greatest use. With 400 square feet of kitchen space, this area will be ideal for cooking classes and gatherings. In addition, there will be 100 square feet of pantry and dry storage. I think everyone is familiar when you're at home during family gatherings and holidays, the kitchen tends to be the absolute social hub. This is a bit more of a detailed view of the reception area and the nurse/municipal agent stations. This would be to some extent a shared space, but have the flexibility to accommodate both. The receptionist area would also have a conference room for meetings. What we see on this slide is a top-down view of the center. This is a simple overlay depicting a block approach to how the center would be laid out. It starts to pull the pieces of the puzzle together. Now, when we look at this slide, it's important to note and to remind people that everything we're seeing tonight, these are conceptual drawings. These are things that we've pulled together from the meeting over a year ago and things we've been working on with the design team ever since. This is kind of the whole picture brought together on an overlay of the original property. You can see the adjoining properties in the foreground, the driveway coming in, the river in the background. Again, maintaining ample municipal parking for local merchants, you can see to the left. This shows an even better view of the center's placement on the property, as well as the surrounding landscape, the river, and the various setbacks. I wanted to add for everybody that we've done we've done a lot in the last year since we met last. We've been to our land use boards and commissions. That was incredibly important to us. We took these designs. We worked out any of the preliminary issues. We got a lot of positive feedback from our commissioners. So that's one of the steps we've been taking. We've also, the goal in doing what we've done here is to get placement of the center and then realize how best we can utilize the rest of the property. So as you see with this placement, it's in not only the perfect spot and with views, with setbacks, with wetlands, but it also leaves the vast majority of the property for other things. There was a lot of talk about a dog park, and we want to go back to the designers and see what we can do to incorporate that. And I'll wait to hear any questions. I will turn it over to Jay Hubblebank. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And thanks everybody for being here tonight. I must say, doing a Zoom meeting like this is a little strange since I can see the picture of the slide, but not everybody that's here. But I like to welcome everybody that's here tonight. And as Jim said, I'm Jay Hubblebank. I've been a selectman since 2013. I've lived in town for over 40 years, and I'm really excited to see this project hopefully come to fruition in the next few years. I'm going to spend the next few minutes, a couple of slides going over estimated costs and talking about the next steps we're going to take to move this project forward. And as you can see on this slide, our consultants have developed a cost estimate for the plan. These are estimates, and eventually, of course, we will go out to bid to get actual costs. But for now, these are the numbers that we are using moving forward. As you can see, we estimate the cost of the project to be $7.9 million. This includes all the costs, including architectural costs, construction, furniture, fixtures, and the like. We expect this building will be built with quality materials and to use the best energy saving practices available. As part of our effort in this project, we are also looking to raise an additional endowment to cover the long-term costs of maintaining the building. Right now, we've had that at $1 million, giving us a total of $8.9 million that we are looking to raise. It is our belief that we can raise these funds through private donations and with the help of grants from the state. We currently have approximately $40,000 left in the town's capital account from funds the voters have approved for the development of the community center in the last 2 budget years. The Board of Selectmen anticipate asking for an additional $50,000 for next year's budget, and this money will be used to begin the formal planning process while we continue to work on fundraising. And next slide, if you could. So how do we get from these slides to a fully functioning community center? As I noted, our next step is fundraising. We plan to begin this process next month. We have recruited a few people in town with experience in fundraising, and we will begin to contact targeted donors who we believe will be interested in financially supporting the project. We are confident we can raise the money and the necessary funds to bring this project to completion. While that fundraising is going on, the Board of Selectmen anticipate appointing a committee in early July to oversee the planning and eventual construction of the building. We have many qualified people in town who we know will be able to lend their expertise to this effort, and we expect to put together a committee that can address many facets of the project. But we also know there are many people who may be able to provide us with input for specific issues, and we plan to reach out to them to get their input as we move forward. As with all town committees, this committee will be a committee that meets in public and will present plans at public meetings as we work to develop and finalize the plans. It is our hope that once funding is in place, that we can have the center open in 2 to 2.5 years. And next slide. So once the building is completed, there will be annual operating costs. We currently are spending a little over $100,000 now for staffing, programming, and utilities for the current senior center. By comparison, Woodbury, a town 3 times our size with a building of about 2,000 square feet bigger than we are proposing, is spending a little over $250,000. And that covers their staffing, programming, and building costs. We expect to eventually spend less than Woodbury, but certainly more than we spend now. The larger space will offer us the opportunity to provide additional programs for the entire community, many that Jim listed earlier. The Board of Selectmen do expect the town to continue to maintain Legion Hall, and the American Legion will continue to operate out of that building. The town is looking to continue to cover the building costs. So that covers the next steps and our fundraising efforts for now. And I'm going to turn it over to Dean to answer questions that anybody has. And thank you.
Hi there, everybody. Wow, this is awesome. I am so charged up about this. I think this is just going to be an amazing project. I hope you guys are too. I'm Dean Sargent. Jay's been here for, what'd you say, 14 years? I've been here for, let's
43, we'll say.
43. Yeah, I've been here for about 43 minutes. But it's been marvelous, and I'm happy to be here. The questions, we have a couple. Judy Petrovic. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, Judy. A couple of questions about the parking in particular. How many spaces? She didn't see so many. Looked like maybe 20, and only 1 handicap, which obviously would not be enough for a senior center. I think she's spot on accurate. I did say to her that, of course, these are very preliminary, and of course, we're going to meet all the ADA requirements. Jim or Jay, do you have any more specifics on that?
Yeah, I believe that parking, we have, I'm looking at the map that we put together, about 60 spaces right now in the preliminary design, with the appropriate number of handicap spaces included.
I hope
Yeah,
that
I wouldn't take that
I'm sorry.
rendering is not for gospel. It's just that it's a rendering.
Yeah.
When we get into the design phase, we'll have a much more
Yeah.
accurate.
And if Michelle can show, there's proposed parking, I think she's got, there's 60 across the top and another 20 or so along the side there too. So we're really more closer to 80 spaces.
Good. Judy, I hope that takes care of it. Along the same lines, Leslie Anderson asked, please explain what the ADA requirements will be, i.e. entrance, restrooms, kitchen area, etc. Leslie, of course, will meet all those ADA guidelines and hopefully even exceed them. It's a little preliminary here to answer that, I think. But again, I'll throw that out to the guys. Let me just give you a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to do these chat questions as soon as I can try to keep them. There aren't so many, but they keep on coming in here. After that, if anybody really wants to speak, just tell me that in the chat box and we'll open you up at the end. We want to stick to Washington residents, certainly at the beginning. So leave it open for Washington residents first, please. And if you don't get my attention, email us. We'll get back to you if we don't get the question answered. Wave, jump up and down. I'm going to look at all the gallery views so I can see you if you want to ask a question. So Did we answer the ADA question, guys?
I could just mention that the building is a one-story building, so it'll be flat. There'll be a flat entrance coming in, and I don't believe there'll be stairs anywhere. So I believe it'll meet all those ADA requirements. I know it will.
Absolutely.
Okay. Jim McDonough is asking, could we add a large awning for outdoor space? Jim needs that to cover the top of his head.
We could absolutely give that some thought over the terrace area for sure. And again, with the building situated where it is, the rest of the property is wide open to utilize different things. There was even mention of a large gazebo and things of that nature. So yeah, we could definitely do something like that.
Thomas Corte, would you consider going belong? I'm not sure I quite got that right. Belong just the latest green building features, going above maybe, and possibly zero energy building as a model for the region. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to be trying to do that.
Yeah, we talked to the designers a lot about that, and that's going to be a big push in the next phase of the project. We even considered, we talked about solar panels over the parking area. All those things are on the table for sure.
Joseph Fredlin makes a very good point. Certainly, we will be doing this. Would this space serve as one of the town's emergency shelters? Absolutely. No doubt about it. We're planning for that from the beginning. I don't think I need to send that to anyone. I can say confidently, yes, it will be. Teresa Hargrave, with pickleball being one of the fastest growing sports, is there any way to have more than one court, possibly have one outside as well?
It's a possibility outside. We're kind of prohibited on space on the inside because, as you can tell, you need, I think it was ideally a 60 by 40 foot, like a 2,000 square foot type of thing. And so we're very limited. Inside is just going to be the one court.
I'm taking these in order, so Jim's going to get in a second one here because I don't want to lose it. Could the path be wide enough for ADA/biking/walking?
Probably, yeah. The cinder path around, because we want to keep, and the design didn't incorporate this, but we want to keep the key feature in the access to the water supply, which is a cinder. It's much like the Riverwalk, and it's a cinder which would make it wide enough for biking, for riding, things of that nature. I think that's very doable.
Linda, and Linda, please give me your last name in the chat box after I ask this question. We need that for the record. Linda, on the map of the property, are the floodplain lines marked?
I don't believe that we had a topo on that. I believe what they did was put the elevation. You can see where the compensatory storage is. And that, what's dug out of there is what brings up the elevation. I forget how many feet, Jay, that was.
Yeah, I think it's 200 feet is where inside the building's inside 200 feet from the river, if I remember. Yeah. I think you can see that on the map there.
The building needs to be brought up 5 feet to get it out of the floodplain.
That's right.
Right, and it is going to be mounted, as Michelle says there. So Susan Averill, I see overhead utility lines. Why not underground to minimize power outages? You're dear to my heart, Susan. This is something we're all would certainly shoot for. Something we'll consider, guys.
Yeah, my only concern with that is, and it's a great point, Susan, but there's currently little or no trees on that property that would bring down the power lines, and we can only go underground from our right of way to the building. The biggest hassle would be the rest of the tree line along Titus Road and B Brook Road, but it's certainly worth looking into. We can bury the utilities.
Yeah.
Judy Petrovich again. What is the number of occupants? I think we probably have a number at this point. Again, these are preliminary, so when we get into more accurate drawings, that'll become determined. But go ahead, guys.
I think Michelle, I think they do talk about that
I actually,
I thought it was.
they talked about it when they were calculating the parking spaces, but that was based on square footage.
Yeah, so
And
we'll have to get.
We have maximum occupancy for each of the rooms, and we just never added all that up, I guess.
What was it for the large room? Do you know, Michelle? And of course, it depends on how we have people sitting in there, but.
It
Right,
depends. I
senior.
mean, obviously, if you put chairs versus tables, and they sort of showed us that, I believe you can get over 100 people in the large room.
That's what I thought. Yep.
That's what I thought as well. But again, that certainly will be subject to change as the specific development happens. James McDonough, to everyone, oh, Jimmy, I can't believe I read that. He was responding to Mike covering his head.
Come on, Dean.
Adam Woodruff, will the additional side parking allow a transition to the sidewalk so we get down to drafting site at the riverbank? So we can get down, he's asking if the fire department will be able to get down to a drafting site at the riverbank. Certainly that's something we will find a way to make happen, Adam. For one thing, the fire marshal will insist on it, I'm pretty sure as well. So it's a very good question. I don't think we need to, you guys want to address that in any other way?
Yeah, no, as I mentioned before, that's, even though the designers didn't put it on here, that's all going to be incorporated into that cinder path. And to Jim's point about a wider path, that's a great opportunity to do it. So yeah, Adam, trucks will still be able to access the water site.
Maria Pettibone. Meanwhile, are any improvements to be made to the current senior center? When can we expect to have this open again?
That's, well, the opening of the senior center has nothing to do with the condition of it. It's strictly the pandemic right now, Maria. What kind of improvements are made are a little bit difficult to say. We're obviously going to maintain the building, but part of the decision to move over to the town garage site was as we got further and further into the current Legion Hall / senior center, there was just a host of issues. As an old building, I mean, everyone remembers it was the old, well, not remembers, but realizes it was the old railroad station that was moved after the flood across Canoe Brook. So it's got all kinds of issues that we're going to maintain the building. But as far as any huge capital improvements, I don't see that coming.
Judy Petrovich, if it will be an emergency shelter, will it need to have showers? I believe there are 2 in this drawing, Judy, and I think that would serve that purpose. Guys, any more on that?
Yeah, the showers, honestly, the showers were more driven by the fact that we did want it to be an emergency shelter rather than, people to use after a workout. It was definitely the shelter. We'll have a generator on site to power the building. And when you think about it, this building is ideal for, we have other emergency shelters in town, but they all seem to lack something. One has capacity, one doesn't have the ability to do food, one doesn't have showers. This is going to have all of that. So we're really excited about that.
James McDonough again. Could we establish a canoe boat launch? This is a great put in or take out on the river. And he's right, that's true. And I think that would be a lovely idea. I don't see why not. We are, I guess, going to be a little limited if we try to add the dog park, especially with parking, Jim. So adding too many features that are going to add to cars might be a little bit of an issue, but get involved, all of you, get involved as these committees get developed, because all these ideas will get sorted out and weeded out and discussed. So if you're passionate about something, stay involved.
Point.
Robert Levand, could we elaborate on fundraising plans? Where will the money come from? Will construction be initially financed with debt? Robert, you could solve that problem right here tonight. Feel free, guys.
Yeah, I would say the fundraising, we're not going to start off in debt. We're not bonding anything. Like I say, we have a very specific targeted program for fundraising. I'm not sure, Robert, what more I can tell you about that or what more information you need, but no, we're not going to start. We're not going to start in a deficit.
Leslie Anderson, will you have a backup generator? I think we've addressed that actually, but yes, we will. Edwin Matthews, what provisions are being made for a community dog park? Patricia Matthews, I guess, is asking it as well, or that's from her on Edwin's computer.
I would take a run at that. Patsy, Edwin, that's one of the things we mentioned in the opening program is there was a lot of desire for that and a lot of interest in that at our initial meeting. And we're going to take that back to the architects and say, we've got all this land left. What now can we do? Patsy, the thing we need to figure out, my sense is the only thing that's going to limit us with a dog park is the minimum size. We have to see what we have left to work with and kind of go from there. I know you had mentioned at least acre and a half, preferably 2. I don't believe we are going to have 2 left on that site, but yes, we're going to look into it and exhaust every possibility.
This is a great question from Thomas Korteg. Since this property is part of the Chappaq Greenway path/trail, will that path be incorporated and maybe revitalize the trail?
It is.
Terrific
Yes.
question.
Yes.
All in the plan from the get-go. The designers are aware of it.
Yep.
Right. Ann Kearney, Or is it like Jersey, which is Kearney? Well, I don't know which way.
And Carney.
Kearney, okay. What is the total capacity for emergency shelter use?
It'll be similar to the total capacity of the building. I'm guessing it'll be a couple of 150 maybe. The fire marshal will be the final arbiter of that, but
Right.
And we might be to our last question, or it's a statement actually, and it says from Jim McDonough, it says, "Dean, you are amazing. Thank you." But actually, he's thanking all of us, but I just selected myself. From Carrie and Dimitri, shouldn't?
Not Dino. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. I don't know what Dimitri, Dimitri, retype your question if you would. And the folks that I can see, anybody want to speak? Mary? You're good? Okay.
I just want to throw out there, since we have such great participation for this evening, we just want to make sure that we are planning for all of the programming that people want to see. So please let us know either right now out loud or in the chat, or email us later if there are activities or programs that we didn't represent. I mean, we toured senior centers and community centers all around our surrounding area and tried to do a lot of research into what kinds of things the community would need, but we may have missed something. So make sure you let us know what you'd like to see.
And if I could just add there, I think, we're trying to plan a building that is multi-purpose, that we can adapt to future needs as well. So, the idea of showers and the idea of making sure it's a community, a shelter possibility. Those are the things we're trying to think about, that we can use this facility, 10 years down the road, that we haven't thought of. So any help with thinking about it that way would be great.
Couple more questions did come in, and I get Dimitri's now. Shouldn't plans be made to use the old center?
they have been. There's no plans, as it currently is now, the American Legion will continue to utilize that center, Dimitri. And they, again, without COVID, they are going constantly every weekend. They're doing spaghetti dinners and fundraisers for kids groups and sports, and that's not going to stop. They're going to continue to work out of that building.
And one more from Carolyn Setlow. Will use of facilities be free of charge?
Yeah, to any town organization, like we treat every town building, I think, and Jay can expand on this. We, any not-for-profit, houses of worship, town organization, we never charge. It's simply a matter of covering the liability insurance.
And I think, for individual programs, it'll be what, if there's cost for the program, that there could be charges for a program here or there, basically covering the cost, but there's not going to be an annual fee that people have to pay to come to the center. So.
James McDonough, Jim and Carrie would love to be involved. Let us know how we can help. This is great. Thank you. That's from James McDonough. And
you got that list, Michelle, going there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been taking notes.
Jim, you can count on it, because one of the things that I'm passionate about is, of course, that this is a senior center. We're calling it a community center for a good reason. We want teens, we want youth programs. You're the king of that, and so no, that's all ideas welcome. Let's make this just a showpiece for Washington. I think it will be, and so that's important. From Dawn's iPad, I can't imagine iPad is her last name, but maybe we know what Dawn is. I missed the start of the meeting. When do we anticipate it being up and running?
Well, we all had all kinds of optimism and enthusiasm and ambition last year. It's safe to say we may not have lost a full calendar year, but we lost months and months.
Oh, Jim, you went to mute there.
Sorry. We lost a lot of time with the COVID, months and months with the COVID pandemic. So I'm saying that a lot of it now depends on our fundraising ability. I'm hopeful. Jay's put together a nice timeline of things that in the next 2 years, after a 2-year period, we'll be looking at breaking ground.
Oh, before that, Jim.
And Dimitri has
Yeah.
a good question, really a general question about the senior growth population for the future.
Yeah.
So our current senior population, which includes 65 and above, is 20%, 28% of our current population. I think that's 980 something. It is projected to grow to almost a third of our total population by, I think it's 2025. So it is our senior population is growing as a percentage of our total population. So we'll be over 1,000 seniors by the time the center is open.
And I think if I could add to that, a key component to the design of this building is to accommodate any fluctuation in our elderly population, but also it's flexible that it's going to be a community building. So there's always going to be uses. There's always going to be, it's never going to sit idle for sure.
No more questions, so I think that maybe wraps up the Q&A. Wait, one snuck in here. Thomas Corte, as part of this project, do you also think about walkability between the main area of the town and the tightest side? Good question.
Wow.
That is a
Absolutely.
great question. And we have been working on redoing the side. We have a sidewalk project. We put in for a grant that we didn't receive this go around, but we're going to continue applying for it. And we really envision connecting the whole Titus block to the Depot Plaza part with crosswalks and sidewalks so that it's very easy to walk from one side to the other, and improved parking throughout the entire depot area. So that's a great question. We're definitely looking at that, and we have an engineer working on it. And we're going to continue talking about that whole Titus block so they connect well.
Michelle, get
that's
Thomas
working.
signed up.
Yeah, I see that. He was, and that's going on simultaneously to that. That won't be we hope we'll be able to do that sooner than possibly than the project will take, the community center will take.
I just got a Dawn reminder, actually. Dawn, thank you for the last name, Balanger. And so that's perfect. Anybody else that I didn't get the last name? I think mostly I got everybody, but please just type it if you think to. We'd like it for the public record. Also, we do have some phone-ins, and so let's see how am I going to let them know if they want to ask a questions? How are we doing that? I kind of forget.
You just ask them to ask their questions. I think you hit *6 to unmute yourself if you're calling in, and if you have a question, now's the time to ask.
And
I guess that answers that.
I don't hear anyone.
And Michelle, we mentioned at the beginning that you were recording this. This will be available on the website, on the town website, to if you would like to see it again, or people who didn't get a chance to come tonight.
You know what I'll do is I'll put the PowerPoint on the town
Right.
website. I have the first PowerPoint that we brought to the land use commissions on the economic development page, and I'll include this one. Once we'll try to get the recording up as well.
But at least the maps will be there, the pictures
Yeah.
and all that we showed tonight. Great.
Yes.
Before we forget and before we adjourn, I just wanted to say thank you to all those in attendance. Thank you to Michelle, our Economic Development Coordinator, the Board of Selectmen, and absolutely Michelle Manafi. We couldn't have done this without her. We were a cobbled together group of Zoom amateurs, and she was just amazing.
And Jim, one more thank you. I see Dan Shear and Tony Bedini here.
Oh, I apologize. Yep.
They were one of the leaders in getting this thing going and getting us to this point, and I want to thank them for all the work they've done and will continue to do, I'm sure. But thank you both.
Absolutely.
All right.
I guess that's all.
I think that's it.
I guess.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, folks.
We hope you're excited as we are. And we'll be back.
Denise,
Thank
how's
you.
Jordan?
Check folks out. Come on.
Like Lucy.
The dog's excited for the dog park.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, folks.
Bye.
I love the thumbs up. That's awesome.
All right. Wow, a lot of, how many people were there total? Do we know?
66.
66.
That's great. That's great.
You
That
can
is
probably
great.
end the recording now.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see if I can figure out how to.